on.
All right. Welcome back to Switchcast Live. I'm so sorry we are 2 minutes late, but thank you all for waiting for us and joining us. I'm your host, Doug Tabbitt. Thank you, Tyler, for the gin and tonic. And Switchcast is a podcast where we seek to educate, edify, and entertain you on the drive of your life. This season, we've been focusing primarily on topics and guests that help our listeners be smarter buyers and sellers, avoid scams, which is we're going to have a big scam episode next week, and make informed decisions from their initial purchase through all aspects of ownership. So we've covered a lot of topics this week, and recently we've launched on TikTok. Thank you, TikTokers, for joining us. We're going to get into questions soon. This is a catch-up episode. So we've had a lot of questions and feedback from some of the topics we've covered this season, and one of the biggest ones, especially on the social medias and the talk of tick, was shill bidding. Right, so one of the flops of the week a little while ago was a guy who sold a G63 on eBay, a Mercedes G63, not eBay, gosh darn, bring a trailer, and bought it back himself accidentally. And that was a big hit with everybody. Cost him $4,300 to not sell his car. He still has the car and he loves it, which is a good thing. But we got a lot of feedback, a lot of I guess righteous indignation against the guy, and rightly so. But there's, I think, a lot of misconceptions about auctions and shill bidding and what actually happens. So I wanted to dig into that a little bit and address that. So again, tons of comments on the TikTok from this. So if you guys have questions about shill bidding, throw them in. Our producer Ethan will relay them. You guys on YouTube and Facebook, again, throw the comments in the comment flow. Tyler over here will relay them as well. So we look forward to engaging with you guys tonight. And any questions that you have not relating to shill bidding, throw them in as well. And we'll get to those in the second half of the show. So without further ado, cheers, pour yourself a drink, even if it's water, and here we go.
Let's go. I don't have anything against the TikToks. Ethan, needed something to do more than just producing the entire show and making sure all of the socials were set up, so he wanted to read some questions.
Yes. Well, Ethan has such a pleasant voice as well.
He does. He might even show me up, which I wouldn't be offended about until after the mics are off.
All right, so a quick refresher on what happened, right? So the car sold on Bring a Trailer had a reserve of $90,000. Now, Bring a Trailer has a wonderful policy such that if the car bids to within 5% of the reserve, then they will essentially, because their buyer fee is 5%. So they'll eat their buyer fee, send it to the seller. They call that the make whole payment. And that way, so if it gets bid to, in this case, it got bid to $86,000, the buy fee was 5% of $86,000, so $4,300. So that gets us over the total of the reserve, which was $90,000. They'll say, well, we'd rather make $300 and show a sale on our site than, not make any money and not show a sale. So I love that. I really like that approach. It's better to have a little piece of a big pie or a little piece of a pie than no piece of a big pie. You shouldn't hold out for all of it. They just want to show a good sell-through rate and keep people coming to the site, because if cars aren't being sold, then people aren't going to sell. They're not going to buy. They're going to go, you can't buy cars on there. So I appreciate that policy. It's great for sellers. But what happened is our customer, we consigned the car for him, listed the car, and our customer, unbeknownst to us, because we would have told him not to do this, was bidding on the car himself. And he didn't understand that policy. So he thought he bid it up to 89 grand because the reserve was 90 and just hoped somebody outbid him, but there wouldn't be any consequences. Well, he bid it up to 86. His car got charged for $4,300 and he bought it. And we were not too happy when we found this out. And anyway, so one of the a few people accused us of basically colluding with him and going, well, BAT would have sent you $4,300, so you would have profited off of this, or you would have basically, sent the money back to him, so everything was square. And we did not. So Bring a Trailer only issues a make whole payment if you confirm that the sale was successful. Now, I could have, if I was friggin' shady, said, yeah, we're good, send me the $4,300. And honestly, if I was shady enough to do that, I would have friggin' screwed over the guy who bid on his own car and let him eat it and just said, well, this is our pain money for dealing with this crap. But I wasn't going to do that because, I want to preserve my integrity, our brand's integrity, and it's not worth that. No amount of money is worth sacrificing my integrity in these transactions. So I got right in front of it. I contacted Bring a Trailer. I said, here's exactly what happened. You do what you need to do with this guy. I'm so sorry. I had no idea this was going down, but, then the customer wanted us to make it like Bring a Trailer to refund his credit card. And I'm like, no, I'm not on your team on this, bro. No, you put us in a bad situation. But then the questions came in about essentially the ethics of shill bidding, right? A lot of people assumed it only happens on Bring a Trailer. That's not true. It happens everywhere. Rob Pitts made shill bidding famous on eBay with his story, how he got banned forever from eBay for bidding up his own cars. And that was back in the early days of eBay. And I actually wanted to address that a little bit, right? So I think there's a differentiation in ethics between whether or not you're shill bidding below the reserve or above the reserve, right? So if you're bidding or having somebody bid it up for you, or even like a friend who's willing to buy the car or another dealer just bidding it up to fair market value, below the reserve, technically you're not costing anyone money, right? You're not driving up, artificially what somebody's going to spend, because if it hasn't met reserve, then they won't win the car anyway. An argument can be made either way on the ethics of that. I think that's more of a gray area than once it's met reserve. Once it's met reserve, it is absolutely 100% unethical, period, because then you are literally spending somebody else's money, right? Like once it's met reserve or on no reserve auction, the market has to dictate. Now, smart dealers will let other dealers know that this car is no reserve, so they'll at least have, maybe the other dealers will bid on it and they'll have a wholesale floor, right? So another dealer won't be shill bidding. They'll just go, well, if it goes too cheap, I'll buy it. So, the worst you can get hurt is wholesale. But back in the early days of eBay, we absolutely would bid up our auctions, but it wasn't to be shady. It was for one reason. It was because people didn't understand auctions. I think they still don't. And when the auction started out at like $1 or whatever, people would see a $50,000 truck for 10 grand or whatever the current bid was, and they'd be like, "Oh man, well I can buy this for 10 grand." So you have these morons asking the most ridiculous questions, and the dumb thing was that they were asking these questions on a $50K truck that they could buy for 10 grand, right? If you get that good of a deal, you don't ask questions. You just say, "Where do I send the money?" But dealers' time was getting wasted like crazy with these people asking these asinine questions. And then once it got bid up another 10 or 20 grand, they're like, "Oh, I didn't think it was worth that much." And they go away. So we'd bid stuff up to like reasonable wholesale market just to like not waste time with morons. Now, I don't think that's shill bidding. I don't think that's unethical. That's just like setting kind of the expectation. So yeah, that's there's a lot of gray area there. And then there was a time that we got hurt because we didn't bid up a car, right? We sold or we auctioned a Callaway C12 on Bring a Trailer. Now, I just sat there and let the market do its thing, quote unquote, but there wasn't a lot of bidders in the room, and it got bid up to like 113 grand. Now, immediately after the auction, the high bidder offered us 150. So the market was at least 150, but we have now this public no sale result of 113, which is essentially like ruined our ability to sell the car. Now, people will say, well, that's a real data point. That's a market result. But it isn't, because we had a private offer from the high bidder of 150. There was just nobody bidding against him. And we weren't willing to sell it for 113 anyway. So that's not real market, right? So some people say, well, on an auction, the buyers determine the market, right? Like if the seller isn't willing to sell it for the high bid, then they're unrealistic. They're out of touch. It's only buyers that determine the market. That's not true. Buyers and sellers determine the market. It's not just what somebody's willing to pay, but it's also what a seller is willing to sell it for. Regardless if they're being unrealistic or not, if they won't sell it, then, the high bid isn't the market value. So we got kind of screwed there. And looking back, I go, well, should I have shill bid? Right? It wouldn't have made a difference. The guy still would have been willing to pay $150K. He wouldn't have paid more if I had bid $151. So it's a hard topic. It's a hard topic. But
TikTok has come through with a few questions if you care to entertain.
Fire away.
Of them. We'll just start with, we got to give a shout out to the first guy who commented. He said, Vin Wiki
Did he say
guy.
first?
He did not, fortunately. This is Adam is Federal, shout out. He said, Vin Wiki guy. I love that channel. So, question.
Love you too.
RS6 Avant or 911 Turbo?
This isn't a shill bidding question.
It's
but
not.
Sure.
It's not.
911 Turbo, because I can get one in a manual. As much as I love wagons and I love Audis and I love the RS6 and I don't like turbocharged cars, I'd buy a 911 Turbo because I can have a manual sports car. So,
referring more to shill bidding here, the story you just told, Cole Child says, he points out, every buyer isn't at that particular auction as well. So
that's very true. And that's a good point, because I've had people get pretty antagonistic with me on Bring a Trailer when a car didn't meet reserve. And the high bidder wanted to force the sale to me at their high bid, basically saying this is the only market. Bring a Trailer is absolutely the largest online marketplace. It is a force of nature, but it is not the only market. There's hundreds of thousands of buyers out there that aren't on Bring a Trailer, and almost every time that I've had a reserve not met on Bring a Trailer or P-Car Market or any of the auctions, I've sold it more after the auction, maybe a day later, maybe 3 months later. But he's very right. The auction is not the only market. It's the market in that venue on that day at that particular time. So I always like to say, well, the right people weren't in the room today. Does that justify shill bidding? I don't know. No, I don't think so. But, speaking of, let's say no reserve auctions, right? So a lot of the people after last time's video kind of slammed Bring a Trailer. And I'm like, man, this is not just a Bring a Trailer thing. This happens at the physical auctions. This happens on eBay. This happens on everywhere. And I think it happens more at the physical auctions, because I've actually heard stories where they are a party to it, where they are okay with it, right? Bring a Trailer will ban you for life if they find out you've been shill bidding, right? They do not have a tolerance for it. A lot of the physical auctions, they have had basically pre-arranged deals, right? So that they'll have bidders in the room that will bid it up to a certain value, and if it doesn't sell, then they'll just mark it sold, and those will be fake transactions. And I've seen cases where you'll see a car sell at an auction, and then a year later it shows up again at the next auction. And sometimes it's the same seller. Sometimes the auction will buy it. Sometimes the auction will give people guarantees. So if the vehicle doesn't sell, they'll essentially fake bid it up. So if you've ever been in a wholesale auction or in the room at a Barrett Jackson or one of the big auctions, half the bids they're taking aren't real people. The auctioneers are really slick, and they'll be, you might be bidding against yourself and you don't even know it, Because they say, oh, 45 over here, 45 drive over, 45, 46, 46, 47. You come back and say 47. There was no 46. So this stuff happens everywhere. And I think Bring a Trailer actually has brought a lot of transparency to the market. And yes, it still happens on there, but they are actively fighting against it. I heard a story from one of my clients. He was trying to buy a race car from a guy, and he wanted, let's say $170,000. And my customer offered him $150,000, and the guy's like, "No, you're out of your mind. It's worth more than that. I'm just going to run it at Gooding or RM, and get a bunch of money for it." So he turned down my customer's offer at $150,000, sent it no reserve to this auction. My customer bids it up, ends up getting it for like $140,000. Now, my customer paid more than $150,000 because after buyer's fees of 10-12%, he was at like $155,000. But the seller, because his, $140,000 minus 10-12% was like $128,000, $125,000, he was all mad at my customer. He's like, "You stole my car." And my customer's like, "Bro, I offered you $150,000 before all this mess. You shipped it down, sent it no reserve." And then the seller tells my customer that he was bidding on it the whole time. So my customer was the only other bidder, and he was literally bidding against the seller. I mean, talk about friggin' shady. You send your car no reserve, you know who the buyer is, and you know what he's willing to pay, and you just friggin' bid him up. My customer is super pissed. And this, what's even worse is the seller was pissed because he's like, "Oh, you stole my car." And it's like, what would it have gone for if you weren't bidding it up yourself? But he was willing to take the risk and pay the 20% buy-sell fee or whatever that he would have had to pay to keep the car. I mean, I guess if you're willing to pay all the fees and buy your own car, it's shady, but it's also a risk. It's also a risk. You got to pay the consequence if you win your own car.
I don't want to detract from the other segments of the show that I know we will get to, but want to do 2 quick hitter questions from the TikToks.
We love the TikToks. Also the YouTubes. We love everybody on here. Thank you all for being here.
Disc Golf for Life asks, do you still own that retired Crown Vic?
No, that is somewhere in Maine, probably in a junkyard. The last entry in Carfax was like 2013 in some small town. I'd love to find it, but it's probably done.
Such a great story. And then the classic from Broken Schnoz. Schnoz? Did Doug sell Ultra
Is it a broken nose or
I think that's
or a broken
schnoz.
dog?
Broken Schnoz.
Yeah.
But it's
Broken
an A-U-Z-E.
Schnoz.
Schnoz?
I don't
Schnauzer?
know. I don't know. He either has a hurt dog or a
hurt nose.
Yeah.
Either way, he wants to know if you sold Ultra Beige.
Yes, I did. It's owned by a collector and Cannonball fan in Oklahoma. Yes.
Ansel was here. Thank you for the kind words there. Says he loves our stories. Also asks, Doug, what are your thoughts on the BMW E38?
E38, gosh darn it, I'm not good at the internal BMW codes. Give me 3 seconds.
Isn't that the 7 Series of
Oh,
the late
yes,
90s?
the Transporter
Yes.
7 Series.
Hey, I knew
the
a thing.
square one.
Yeah.
I love those. I have very little / no use for an executive barge, but I would love a BMW 740 IL from that period.
Do you know they sold those in
Love
like a...
with the sport package. I love
with-
the split 5-spoke wheels.
Yes. You get the like parallels,
Yeah.
and then they sold them in purple.
There's a green one with ivory interior in my storage that belongs to my Cannonball
shortly.
co-driver Scout Dunadell. There you.
Oh,
he's
really?
That
sounds
era
awesome.
BMW collector. It's gorgeous. Yeah, I want to buy it from him, but I have no use for it. So yes, I love those. Let's go to a commercial
Real quick, I am so sorry. I hate to do this, but our number 1 fan on TikTok who has tipped us, he asks a question.
whoa.
Okay,
so
fine.
We have to get to them. Phone on Dash asks about your thoughts on the new M2.
The new M2. I haven't driven it yet. The previous generation M2 was friggin' amazing. BMW used to be called the ultimate driving machine, right? That was their slogan back in the 80s and 90s. And I think they lost that, like after the Bangle era, which, whatever, he was a designer. It wasn't his fault that they started making like less sporty and less engaging cars and more high maintenance cars. But man, with the 1M and the M2 and the M4 and even the turbocharged M3s, as much as I'm not a fan of turbo cars, I prefer naturally aspirated. The cars were all really, really engaging, and I think that they made a comeback as a brand. So again, I haven't driven the new one. If it has as big of a grille as all the other ones, it's probably friggin' hideous from the front, but I have to imagine it's pretty good. I mean, that was that might be BMW's second round of like Bangle styling downfall.
Big grills. The grill is smaller. It's got
later.
some weird squared off things on it though that I'm not convinced about. It's got like wide fenders on it though, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like I dig that.
Yep. All right, let's go to a commercial and we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about shill bidding and we'll get to just general questions.
Switchcast is brought to you by Boxcast, who is a live streaming company based in Cleveland, Ohio, and they serve broadcasters and viewers around the world. Their founders launched Boxcast back in 2013 with one purpose, and that was to make people a part of the experience. If you're looking to live stream your podcast, church service, car show, sporting event, wedding, or even your cannonball attempt, Boxcast is an easy and flexible live streaming platform for organizations. Boxcast is so easy that we're broadcasting this show with a phone. So head on over to switchcars.com/Boxcast for your free trial. And I see you have the hat, which means the Corvette Curmudgeon is amongst us at the moment. So this week, for the Corvette Curmudgeon, I wanted to ask you, kind sir, what music do you like to listen to when you go for a... Is that not...
I've never cracked.
There it is.
It just cracked.
Is he... All right.
And scene.
Back in the room with us. What music do you like to listen to when you go for a cruise?
Oh, I like that Jan and Dean. You know, they've got some good album. You know, Dead Man's Curve, Drag City, Rockin' Little Roadster, and Beach Boys have some good songs too. You know, My 409 and Little Deuce Coupe. Yeah. And my wife likes to dance to Mustang Sally though when we go out. I can't friggin' stand that song. I mean, one, Mustang sucked. Sally had terrible friggin' taste in cars, and she was spoiled rotten too, because her husband bought her one of them. So I like them classic rock.
Okay. Do you like to, really just have the top down on your Corvette and have the music blaring as you're driving through some nice curves? Or
no,
something?
I never put the top down. It wrinkles it.
Oh, yes. How could I not think of that? I apologize.
Stupid question.
What do you think about some of the music that you hear some of the younger generations listening to at stoplights?
That ain't friggin' music. It's just noise. It hurts my friggin' eardrum. I gotta turn my hearing aids down, get feedback in them.
I'm afraid I can't disagree on a lot of that, actually. Well, thank you very much to the Corvette Curmudgeon for coming back this week. We'll see what we ask you next time.
So follow up. We have a Chevelle Curmudgeon following us on Instagram, which we appreciate everybody. We appreciate the snarky comments, the ones we don't disagree with, even the hate mail, because it gives us good content for later. But we got the Chevelle Curmudgeon, and I posted a video of a Ferrari 550, very rare car, is worth about $150K, and or is a rare color. I guess a 550 isn't that rare, but he responded to it and said, "I can't not do this in my Corvette Curmudgeon voice."
It fits.
He's also from New England, so you keep it. The taxes alone on that car could get me a real classic 69 Chevelle SS daily driver. You can send it to Worcester, Mass, care of Eddie. Now, you need to be clear. Worcester, I'm reading it spelled Worcester, but if you're from Massachusetts, it's Worcester. Anyway, so the video I posted today of the shop tour, he's still on the kick. He responded, "You can keep them all. Now, if you want to make me jealous, put a 69 Chevelle SS in my driveway. Daily driver." Sorry, man. I'm not giving you a free car.
He's working real hard, though.
But The taxes on the 550 could get me a 69 Chevelle. I mean, the sales tax on 150 grand is like $8,000. That ain't gonna get you jack squat for a muscle car.
It might get you like an 80s Chevelle, like one of the really bad ones.
It might get you like a Ford Mustang 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eddie, your prices are back in 1993. Oh man, you hear the internet? Oh wait, he's on Instagram. Look up Haggerty. Oh man,
We've got someone on YouTube who says there is an E38 on Facebook Marketplace in Atlanta that somebody manual swapped. Would you feel better about having one of those? Or is it the same thing? It's still an executive sedan.
I think it'd be cool, but heavy cars, like heavy boats that have manuals, it's usually not a great combination. Like, as much as I'm a manual snob, there's some cars that should be automatic. I had a stick shift Super Duty F350. It was ridiculous. I wanted an automatic so badly. I've driven a stick shift Cayenne GTS, and I'm like, okay, it's cool, but the transmission just feels clunky. There's some cars that just aren't made to be a stick shift. So
that makes sense.
I think it'd be the nuts for sticks part of me says, yeah, everything manual, but it still wouldn't make sense, right? I'd rather just have a real sports car.
Yeah, I could see that. Thanks for that, TPS Chris. That was on YouTube.
We've got another tipper here. Ansel was here again. Thank you for the.
Is he still here?
He's still here. He's still here, and he's active in our comments, which we greatly appreciate.
So he needs to change his username.
Is here.
Ansel is here.
Yeah, right.
Is that the one that left breadcrumbs, or is that somebody else?
What are breadcrumbs?
Thank you, Ethan. For that.
It's good. That's good. Good joke. He asks.
Did I miss? I'm just gonna do this.
Thank you,
Tyler
Doug.
made a joke. I don't get it.
Anyway, continue.
He asks. He also says, "Will do." He'll change his name just for us. How about that? What's your favorite story
Until
you've
he logs
seen?
off, and then it has to be Ansel was here again. Every time you log on, log off, you got to change it.
Okay. So his question, getting to the heart of this, he wants to know what your favorite story that you've seen on VinWiki is. So presumably not one that you've told, but one that you've actually just listened to and enjoyed.
I know this. I think there's two. Three-part answer. One, Emile Bure, the stunt driver, pro driver guy. He's just my favorite person on there. He's happy about life and everything, which I guess I would be if I had his job too. But his stories are so much fun to listen to. Jay Roberts, the Prius cannonballer, telling the story, which he told on our podcast as well, about his interaction with a cop. And when she kept asking him questions, he literally just like pushed her clipboard with the ticket out the window, and she wouldn't take it, so it fell on the ground. That's one of the best ones. I mean, there's so many good ones. My buddy, I think it was Bennett Logan, that told the story about driving in the presidential motorcade. That was a really good one too. So I mean, there's a lot, but those are top. Yeah. Update for some of you who know Mark Spence. He is a sometimes voice on here and a cannonballer as well. Well, today is his birthday, and we are collecting gifts. We have been collecting gifts because he has been lacking in presents. That's Presence. So we're showering him with presents. Yes, he's got a new real job, but he's out partying right now, drinking craft beer. But if you want to send Mark Spence something, you can send them care of Switch Cars, 1521 Highland Road, Twinsburg, Ohio 44087. If you didn't get that, just Google Switch Cars. Address will come up. He likes, let's see, Corvette C4s, project cars that he will never finish, 80s Volkswagen GTIs, older women, sushi, craft beer, and driving slowly in the left lane, except when he's cannonballing. Please don't send older women or sushi. We had one really good gift. Shout out to Davin Holcomb. He sent Mark a C4 T-shirt, which Mark still doesn't know he got, and he actually sent this shirt to me as well, the Porsche 930 that I'm wearing tonight. So thank you very much for that. So if you've got anything you want to send to Mark Spence, send it out, and we'll make sure that he gets it. So one of the back to the shill bidding topic, one of the biggest, I guess, most common comments we saw in regard to this shill bidding debacle that I talked about was people saying, well, this is why I don't buy on auctions. And that was just like their whole thing. Like, well, I'm going to write off. This is why I don't go and bring a trailer. This is why I don't bid on auctions. I don't play those games. And I wanted to address that opposition because I think it's totally unfair, right? The vast, vast majority of auctions are legitimate. It's a small percentage that aren't. I think we've sold about 80 cars now on Bring a Trailer. We've had 2 go sideways. One was our shill bidder friend. The other one was just a guy who had no intention of paying. It was literally this college kid that had a credit card and was bidding on Bring a Trailer, and he thought it was like a game. So he won our car, and he's just like, I don't have any money. I'm not going to buy it. So that wasn't even shill bidding. It was just the nature of the beast. So out of 80 cars, we had 2 go south. And you know, I think it's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? To exit a marketplace because you don't like how some people play is ridiculous. The best thing to do is basically just say, well, you don't have to play their games. Bidding is not a game. You just decide what you're willing to pay and bid that. And if somebody else is shill bidding, let them pay the price for it. If they outbid you, like, you have to respond. It's your responsibility if you get bid up by a shill bidder. And a lot of the times I hear people say that they don't want to play the bidding games is often when they want to buy a car for less than market value. It's not that they don't want to play games. It's that they want to play a different game. They want to try to haggle, and they want to get me down in price and buy a car for less than market value, and they don't want to compete against the actual open marketplace. So I'm not going to call it socialism, but it kind of is, because it's like, well, they're anti-capitalism because they're afraid somebody else will pay more. I had Jerry Seinfeld do this to me, for heaven's sakes. He was trying to buy a car that was live on Bring a Trailer. His guy tried to pressure me to take the auction down and sell it to him because Jerry Seinfeld. But his offer was like $15,000 less than we got for the car on the auction. And I'm like, why would I do that? If you offered me like double what I might get, then I'd think about like, okay, well, let's try to end this auction and figure something out. But in that case, just friggin' bid on the auction. So I don't buy the excuses of like, well, that's why I don't do auctions. I don't like playing those games, right? Like, everybody's an adult here. Nobody's forcing you to spend a certain amount of money. Just pick what you're willing to pay and bid it. And if somebody else wants to play games, that's on them, not on you. Well, I wasted my time. No, you didn't. It took you 3 seconds to put in your credit card and bid. So, yeah, I don't get that. So, anyway, let's go to some questions.
All right, got some folks gassing you up on YouTube, at least. Somebody in
gaslighting me? Or
no,
is
like
gassing
complimenting
a good term?
you.
Oh, okay. Like filling my tank.
Yeah, well, somebody, I think
it
somebody
93
removed
octane?
it. Somebody was complimenting your muscles, but I can't find it anymore.
There it is.
That's a lie, because I haven't worked out in 2 years.
Well, they were asking how long you go every day. Said your biceps were popping. So, and Mitchell Barnow says, "Hi, Dan Tadbutt," which I'm assuming is on purpose. This has been a great Q&A session. I've never listened to one before today.
Dan Tadbutt.
Which
Wow.
I appreciate.
This is
It
going
seems on
downhill
purpose.
Fast. Okay.
TPS Chris does want to know, is the Impreza outside, the 555, is that
Yes.
going up for sale?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And spoiler alert, that's our pick of the Switch Cars pick of the week.
You didn't have to say that. I don't know.
We'll get to that later.
Never mind.
Yes. Let's go to the wall of shame and a commercial and come back for more questions. Everybody send in your questions. What? Here we go.
All right, is it
The wall of shame is brought to you by...
Oh, yes, Celebrity Machines. Celebrity Machines is a proud sponsor of Switchcast, and they offer more than 250 different screen-accurate license plates as they appeared in movies and TV shows, such as Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, The Fast and the Furious, Breaking Bad, and so many more. Celebrity Machines also makes our dealer insert plates, as well as our commemorative 2539 plates from the fastest cannonball run ever. Visit celebritymachines.com for more info and use promo code SWITCHCAST to save 25.39% at checkout.
There you go. Thank you, Celebrity Machines. So the wall of shame, for those of you that don't know, is like a reverse review, right? Everybody can review dealerships and write scathing things, whatever they feel like, but dealerships can't review customers. So this is our opportunity to get back at the idiots, for lack of a better term, that submit silly inquiries and questions and feedback and stuff like that. So this one was stolen from a Facebook group, Dealership Life, which is some great material when I run out of my own ridiculous inquiries. Somebody texted a salesman and said, do you do buy here, pay here, or no credit checks or anything like that? Reasonable question. We get that sometimes. The response, I love this. This is great. The salesman said, we won't pull credit if you pay in cash. It's a 0% APR, 100% down finance thing. So the response, follow along if you can. That's why I was asking if you guys pull credit insurance, because I'm trying to see if he has, do still be like around down payments and stuff like that money. I'd have to real good monthly payments on this kind of vehicle.
He was just pressing the
What?
autofill button on like the iPhone,
Yeah,
like, just
he
over
started
and over
talking.
again.
Yeah. My God, that had to be like a text or a talk to text with like one breath. Like there was no pauses for periods. It just kept
There's
going.
definitely no punctuation. This is a real inquiry on a $60,000 Corvette. I'm amazed that somebody.
Wow.
Well, I guess I can't afford a $60,000 Corvette. Not even the payments.
Oh man.
All right, let's get to some of those questions. If we have them from YouTube, from TikTok, and we got some from Instagram as well from earlier in the day.
So now some real questions from YouTube, more than just random stuff. Something good to talk about or to call back to our manual conversation from earlier. Aaron Bolster wants to know the opposite question: what automatic-only car should have had a manual?
Ooh, I need to think about that for a second. Audi RS6 Savant.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, that would be.
Truth.
I think there's so many of those, honestly. Anything made after like 2015, any Ferrari, any Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Man, that's there's so many.
Cross cab.
Nissan Murano Cross Cabriolet.
I mean, I'm gonna say yes just
Pretty
because of the
sweet,
joke, but
no?
that'd be pretty sweet.
Pretty great. Right, guys?
They probably should have had a manual top as well, then it wouldn't fail.
I do wish we didn't get it anyway, but the late 90s Mazda Cosmo, that was more of a luxury car, so I don't know if it should have had a manual, but I think it would have been cool.
I know there's a car, and it'll come to me like in 10 minutes that I'm like, that car should have been manual, and it wasn't, and it was something of that 90s era, but it's not coming to me immediately. But yeah, I would Audi RS6.
There is a lot of stuff though.
Well, and that too, the RS6, the Audi RS6 from 2003 as well. Those were automatic only. That should have been a manual.
The RS4s came in a manual, didn't they? It was just the 6s.
They just didn't. Yes. The
Oh, yeah, 'cause-
Avants didn't come to the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Womp womp. Nick Kruger asks, what is the ultimate non-Safari base for a Safari build? Mark 1 Audi TT Quattro or Volkswagen New Beetle? Something else.
Chevy Corvette C4.
It would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can't even lie.
I almost did one with one I had, but like every project, I'd run out of motivation before I start, so I sold it.
I feel like the Safari thing is a commitment. Like, you have to spend a lot of time and money to do it right.
Yeah.
And it's not like an on-the-whim thing.
I like the trend, though. It's one of the automotive trends I do appreciate. Yeah. Porsche Cayenne is a good Safari base. Because it's almost that already.
Yeah, it's practically there.
Land Rover Defender Safari Edition.
No, I like it because it's now a lot of them are probably for just parking at Cars and Coffee, but the idea started with using a non-off-road car in a way like as like a rally car or something, like with the 911s and everything. And I just more of using cars for fun.
Sure.
I'm all here for.
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to take something that was made as a car but has a good all-wheel drive platform, like something like a Subaru 2.5 RS or an Audi S4 that's like, okay, it's got a really, really good all-wheel drive system, but it's a car. It's kind of a sports car, but it's a good platform. So you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just making it the ultimate of what it is already. I mean, a Saab, Nick. Make a Safari Saab.
That'd be pretty sweet. Or like a Safari
A Sabari.
Volvo. You could turn like a brick Volvo wagon with an all-wheel drive into a Safari build. Be pretty cool.
That Sabari joke went unappreciated. I just have to give.
I just bulldozed right over it.
No,
I apologize.
that was good, though. That was good.
All right.
Questions. Do a couple of TikToks.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. We got a cavalcade
Hello,
of
TikTok.
questions
All
here
right.
from TikTok.
Thank you.
Cactus Jack Sheesh says he's looking to buy an 09 R8. Got any advice?
Yes, do it. 1, pay cash. 2, there's basically 3 issues with those cars. 4, don't buy the friggin' R-Tronic. Sucks. Buy a manual. Let's see. The air conditioning compressor is a common failure, and because of the fact that it's located on the front of the engine and there's no access point, you have to drop the engine to do it, and it's like a $4,000 to $5,000 job at the Audi dealer. And that's a common point of failure. Depending on the mileage, the factory adjustable shocks will fail. You can do a coilover swap, but that's an expensive thing to look out for. And also the higher mileage cars typically have carbon buildup on the top end of the engine. That's not a huge deal. That's a cheaper service to do, but it's something to look out for. So basically those 3 things. Other than that, they're great cars. A lot of people worry about the front subframe welds cracking. I think it's kind of like the BMW M3 things. It's way blown out of proportion. I've never, ever seen one that had that issue. There is an NHTSA recall about it, or not a recall, but like a bulletin. But I think it's one of those things that like the only ones that people had a problem with were like if they were trying to Safari it. So, R8 Safari. There we go.
That would be
That's
sweet.
it. Great all-wheel drive system, rear-wheel drive biased. Yeah. Oh, so there's my advice for you. Buy an R8 and then Safari build it. Yes.
Speaking of the M series, BMW M cars really the poor man's Porsche?
It's not really the poor man's Porsche. They're the same price. Like a E46 M3, a good one is 35 to 40 grand. A new M3 is 70, 80, 90 grand. Like it's not poor. And a lot of them are fairly maintenance intensive as well. Some of them are reliable, but yeah, it's not the poor man's Porsche. They're on equal footing.
What are some older BMWs I should pick up before prices get too crazy?
Oh gosh.
There's a lot of
An
BMW
E38.
talking here today.
Lot of
BMW 7
a lot of Bimmer
Series.
fans.
Z3s I think are really good. So like the late 90s and early 2000s Z3s, you don't even need the M, just like a Z3 3-liter. Those are great cars, super reliable. M Roadster is also a lot of bang for the buck. Man, the older stuff has gone more crazy, but like, you know, a 70s BMW 2002 TII. Yeah, BMW M1. Just kidding. Okay, that's, you know, $1 million, but
We'll get one more TikTok question in here. Do you think the B58 engine is the core reason for BMW's reliability rating now ranking in the top 3?
The B58 engine? Gosh darn it. I don't know these engine codes like I do my Porsche codes. Oh, it's the yeah. Okay, so it's the one that's in the whatever, the F80 or whatever, M5. I honestly don't know. Like, my BMW expertise stops like in the mid 2000s, and then I just started hating them. And like the newer ones are better, right? Like, they did make a comeback, but after like that 4.4 liter engine, which was a dog, and I don't know the code, but the twin turbocharged V8 that was such a friggin' disaster. Like, I just stopped paying attention, and then I felt like they lost their way. And for me, just anything made after 2012-ish is not fundamentally interesting to me, because it's all turbos, it's all double clutch gearboxes, it's all hydraulic suspension and electronic controls, and like the car is driving itself. So like after 2012, it's not that I don't care, but it's hard for me to really care. Like, there are some really good driving cars, but not a lot. And I focus on the older stuff. So that's a question for a BMW nerd, and I'm not one. Let's go to the Instagram questions.
Instagram.
Tyler.
All right, I can do that. One that I really like on Instagram is, let me find it. Oh, goodness, where'd it go?
Come on.
What are the most overlooked but important aspects that deliver driving enjoyment? This is from Row Your Own, so I think I have an idea of what they think. They'll start,
That's
though,
for sticks, is it?
Their first recommendations are hip point / seating position.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one. And they do touch on that in driving school. Seating position and where your hands are on the wheel is incredibly important. I see a lot of people do like the gangsta lean, and I'm like, you can't friggin' control the car. You don't want to be stretching your arms, especially when you're all crossed up and in a slide. You want to be able to reach the pedals easily. Shifter feel, like the shift pattern itself, and the feel of the gearbox is a huge one for me. If it's like a long throw or a sloppy throw, like the E46 M3s and the E90s, I don't really love, because I feel like it's not a sporty shift, and a short shift goes a long, long way in those to just totally change the experience. Pedal position in terms of the gas and the brake and how easy it is to heel toe. That's big. Like, I want all those things to be intuitive, right? But everybody connects differently with a car. So part of it is just like what car connects with you. But yes, seating position that's a really, really important one. Tire pressure. Tire pressure is huge. Tire pressure and tread. A lot of people will sell a car because it handles poorly. And I'm like, get new tires. You got friggin' Goodyears on there. Like, get a good set of Michelins or something like that. Adjust your tire pressure, fix your alignment. That can transform a car. Good question.
All right, next up is OG GT4. Now that the PPP Thousandaires are drying up, will this signal the end of the 100,000 plus markups on 150K cars? And which cars do you foresee this trend continuing?
Well, there's multiple factors that will drive down the markups. One is that MSRPs are increasing drastically. So Porsche, again, has jacked up the sticker price on all their cars. Most manufacturers are. They're basically just catching up to inflation. Two, the supply chain is catching up, so that's going to affect it. It's just supply and demand curve. Interest rates are up, so that's decreasing demand. There's no free money anymore. So there's a lot of factors going into it that absolutely are driving down the big markups. But even within that, there's certain segments of the market. The 992 GT3s are still pulling 70 grand over sticker. The new GT3 RS is going to pull huge money. But again, that's because it's exclusive and you can't get it. So it's really just going to come down to supply and demand curves. Cars that you can't get are still going to pull huge markups, especially good ones like a GT3 RS. Good question.
Doc Brutt's got a bit of an interesting story. So they say, I've learned the hard way that saying the saying, there's nothing more expensive than a cheap Mercedes. They've spent $15,000 plus repairing, modifying, and maintaining a W164 CDI in 5 years of ownership. So they want to know, when do you know to cut your losses and move into a newer vehicle? They're currently at 170,000 miles, but every time it breaks down, it's another $2,000 or $3,000.
I mean, for a daily driver, you've got to do the value comparison and just say this is crazy. Like, if a repair costs more than the car's worth, it's got to go. I mean, I feel the same way about, like, we had this discussion about our dog. Like, at what point, as much as we love our dog, do we get a vet bill that's like, yeah, it's going to be $5,000 for this surgery? It's like, well, I can get another dog for $400. Like,
it's an uncomfortable conversation, but
sure.
You gotta
have
useful.
It. If it's a pet car and you have unlimited funds to keep it going and you have a regular daily driver, then whatever. There's no price you can put on it as long as you can afford it. But for a daily driver, man, that's crazy. You gotta get something reliable.
No, and that's something I'm going to experience with my Volvo at some point. That I'm going to drive until I'm tired of maintaining it. It hasn't been bad so far, but
I mean, the ideal thing is to sell it before you get to that point, right? I think every car has a point at which it depreciates a certain amount, but it's still worth selling, but it's before it's going to cost you a fortune.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's most car guys, though, just wait till it's too late.
I guarantee you we'll wait until it's too late.
The Shrewd Negotiator is brought to you by VinWiki. The Shrewd Negotiator is one step short of the wall of shame. People who are trying actively to get there by their negotiation tactics, but are not usually successful or skillful at it. So, fire away, Tyler. I think this is a marketplace ad, which is, there's lots of gold on there.
Yes. So the description on this ad is, up for sale is my 96 Acura Integra LS. Garage kept, second owner. Mileage is 217,000, but well kept, well maintained, and don't forget, this is a Honda. Completely stock car, won't find one cleaner than this.
With 276,000 miles?
Guaranteed you will.
I think I can.
AM FM radio doesn't work, but can be changed out easily. 23,000 or best offer, my goodness.
23
that
grand?
Is insane. Sorry, I didn't pre-read this because I just wanted live reaction.
23
wow.
grand for a 276,000 mile Integra. Okay.
Wow. No, but then they follow up with, in caps, no less than 19,800.
23,000, but no less than 19,800.
Thanks. No low ballers.
No low ballers. I know what I did. He say I know what I got?
Well worth every cent. You know what you're looking at is probably close.
It's
enough.
the inverse. Yes, it's
almost better.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is bad
You know
negotiation. That is shrewd negotiation right there. 23 grand or best offer, but no less than 19,800. Hey man, will you take 19,800?
Oh gosh, it's not over though. They continue.
Man.
This is as close to a mint, untouched Integra at 217,000 miles. Even an LS that you are ever going to find anymore. Only mods are obviously the 98 plus spec front and rear upgrade. But it's so professionally done that it feels and looks and might as well be original.
Hold on, the front and rear upgrade. That means the car was hit in the front and rear. Oh my god.
I guess what do they mean by that? Like the bumpers? 98 plus spec front and rear upgrade means nothing to me.
I want to see pictures. I feel like it's a total riced out friggin'. Oh my gosh! It was an
what you're looking at.
It was an Integra, not a Legend, right?
Yeah, it was a 96 Integra LS.
I can find a 99 Integra GSR, 16 grand sold. 19. What the heck? 98
like
Integra GSR, 13.7. Integra Type R, 96, 19.8. Another 96 Integra, 15.5. They're all over the place.
That also just seems like a lot of money.
Oh my!
You know what you're looking at is such a
apparently
good
I
line.
don't.
Oh
It
my
is such
gosh.
a good line.
Thanks to Kent Lucas for that submission. So let's do a few more questions before we run out of time, and then we'll get to the props and flops.
Alrighty. So the Frank C on YouTube asked earlier tonight, what's your opinion on cars ordered in custom colors? Do you think it's worth the upfront investment for a custom color to be A, unique, and B, potentially stand out more on the secondhand market?
I don't like it when people ask me, hey, I want to order this car. What options should I get for resale? Like, what do other people like? And I'm like, that's such a dumb question. Like, there is a valid answer, but it's the wrong starting point. You should order the car because you like it. And unfortunately, the custom color, paint to sample, whatever, BMW individual, whatever term the manufacturer gives it, that fad has become all about clout and Cars and Coffee bragging rights, and it's made it not cool anymore because it's become almost so ubiquitous. And I hate that people order stuff just so they can have the only one or unique or whatever, and they're only thinking of resale instead of just like, I feel like paint to sample back in the 80s and 90s. I wasn't there, but it's so rare to see that you're like, this guy really wanted this car in this spec. Because back then, nobody else wanted it. People would put like bright red interiors and leather everything and a yellow exterior. It's like, no friggin' way anyone else is going to buy that. That guy wanted that because he wanted it and he loved it. And that's cool, even though it's totally not cool. It's cool.
Well, and it's just, now it's not because anybody wants it, it's because they think somebody else wants it.
Right.
Like, even in the early 2000s, like, if you see a 996 that's PTS, that's pretty rare.
Right.
Because even then, nobody was doing it.
It's the rich Corvette owner syndrome. Yeah. Right? It's like Corvette guys got a bunch of money. Like, I'm going to buy a rare Porsche. This is one of one in this paint to sample color in this year.
Ugh, it's exhausting.
Well, there's 10 other paint to sample cars at Cars and Coffee. They're just not that color.
Yeah, we can go to the TikToks here.
I don't want to hog all the time.
No. I feel like I've been hogging most of it.
That's fine.
I'm trying to buy a 14 Chevy Caprice PPV 6.0.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's a cool
Those
car.
are fantastic cars. Yeah. Independent rear axle. Sweet car. It's the Australian whatever, not the... I don't know the chassis code, but it's the Australian Holden chassis. That's a really cool car. The 6 liters have head issues, so make sure you get one that's been addressed or expect it to blow up. But yeah, those are sweet. Yeah,
that was asked by Jay Supreme, and then there was another user.
Put a spotlight on it and a few antennas and a push bar bumper. Friggin' roll down the left lane.
Another user whose name is Holden Caprice asked, "What do you think about the Holden imports?" our good friend and fellow VinWiki guy Travis Bell was on the podcast, and he talked about this a while ago.
Yeah,
but I don't even know if you shared your thoughts on him. So I'm curious.
He would be beholden to go check out that episode.
See.
Yes.
Never misses a shot.
Nope, I don't. You miss 100%.
Well,
of the
he
shots
takes
that you
all
don't
of the
take.
shots, just
Wayne
all of them
Gretzky,
don't land.
Michael Scott.
I think
true.
is the...
They're still up there, yeah.
No, they're super cool cars. I like the Australian versions of General Motors better than the American ones. Same thing with the European versions.
Well, I used to like the European Fords more than what we got here, too. I got some cool stuff over there.
Yeah.
In like the 80s and 90s.
We have a challenge going with our car group that in the next 3 years, we have to buy one of our 2 dream cars that we've been talking about, or the group picks a country for us and like forces us to buy a car from there. So my country, if I don't buy one of my dream cars, is Australia. So if you guys have any great ideas for Australian cars in case I can't afford my dream cars in 3 years, that'll help. So we got a couple more from Instagram, I think, or
yeah. Glenn Pusikian asks on Instagram, what vehicles do you have as daily drivers in your household?
Let's see. My wife has a Mercedes E350. 2 actually, one for the summer, one for the winter. I'm not bougie at all. I have a 997 Carrera 4, soon to be a Carrera 2 because I'm disconnecting the front drive shaft. That's my winter car.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm the crazy person who turns an all-wheel drive car into a rear-wheel drive car for winter because snow tires. And in the summer, I don't really have one. Like I have lots of fun cars, and I pick what to drive when I want to. It's perks of the job. It's a good life. It's a good life. Michael Scott.
The original alpha male asks, I feel like we get this question every once in a while, so it's good to revisit it for the new viewers or listeners. Porsche on a budget, what would you recommend? Under 30,000.
All right. So Tyler's automatic answer is a 996.
It's 996.
Because he owns one. If I had 30 grand, 29,999, I would buy a 2004 Boxster S 550 Anniversary Edition. Manual transmission, Coco Sport seats, GT Silver exterior. And I'm not trying to sell them because we had two and we sold both of them. So we don't even have any available, but that is the car I would buy. Mid-engine platform, reasonably reliable, lots of fun to drive, and if you can stand being made fun of by the 911 people at Cars and Coffee or in PCA or whatever, then, but...
I feel like that's different now. Most of the folks in PCA are driving Boxsters and Caymans now.
No, they're driving Macans and
Or
Takens,
that.
honestly. It's sad. It's not a car club anymore because it's not a car company. It's a profit center. So, all right, one more question, then we'll go to props and flops. Pick the best one or the one that donated the most money. Do we have any sent with gifts over here?
We don't, but we do have hopefully what's a quick one while Tyler tries to find one. E36 M3 98W S6 Marauder. You've got to daily one, track one, and crush one. Go.
Hold on, 98. Oh, 98 WS6, like a Trans Am WS6.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah. Okay. E36. I would. Do I get to modify them? I would daily. This is tough.
Within reason.
The Marauder's cool, but I would crush it. The Trans Am is ugly as sin, but I would modify it for a track car because it makes really, really good noises. It's a good engine. And I would daily the E36 M3 because it's a fun car to drive. They're reliable, and I'm not the guy that dailies like a typical daily car, right? I have a 997 as my winter daily car. So, that's the answer.
So the Frank C clarified a little bit before I get to the question. They say they gladly order a car in a custom color because they love the idea of having a custom color. The secondary market visibility would be a bonus for them, which at that point, I think we just say,
sure,
get the custom color. It's what you want.
Right. And I tell everybody that. I say, buy the car you want. If it goes up in value or retains value, that's a bonus, right?
Yep.
Same way you look at women, right? You go after a girl because of her inside beauty, and if she's also hot on the outside, that's a bonus.
Facts.
I tell that to other people. I totally am shallow and went after Erin because she was attractive first, and then, also
you were fortunate
beautiful
that
on the
she's
inside.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes. So, Gamer also on the YouTubes.
Love you, Erin.
They say, "Hey, Doug, what's the story?" They want to know what's the story with the 80,000 mile 2017 911 you posted on a Facebook 911 group.
Oh yeah, I think it's sold actually. So.
Really? Was there any story with it, or was it just...
No, just somebody liked driving their car.
I was hoping it was something that was like blown up for some stupid reason.
No.
Never mind.
No. I did post 2 blown up Porsches actually this
think
week
that's
on
what made me
Instagram.
think of-
I sold both of them within 24 hours.
Did you really?
Yes.
Man.
Yeah. So without further ado, we're getting to the last segment. We're wrapping up on this episode of Q&A. Thank you, everybody, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, for being here with us. We wouldn't be here without you. Well, we'd just be here by ourselves. Makes it more fun when you're here with us. So, props and flops brought to you by Switch Cars.
And Switch Cars is the enthusiast's dealership where we buy, sell, consign, service, and store only cars that we like ourselves. Check out our hand-picked inventory at switchcars.com. And our pick of the week from Switch Cars inventory that totally wasn't spoiled earlier tonight is...
That's a bad drum roll. 96 Subaru WRX STI 555 edition.
So cool.
Yes.
So many stickers.
So many stickers. Right. So it is a JDM car. They made 500 of the 555 editions. And for those of you who weren't around back then, that number is famous for being on the side of the Subaru rally cars of that era. And Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz Sr. were both pro rally drivers, and they won the World Rally Championship that year. Subaru did, manufacturer championship. So I think, maybe I'm conflating facts here, but anyway, right. So they made this as a commemorative edition, and it's pretty friggin' sick. Cloth interior, right-hand drive, obviously, and it surprised me. So it is a 2-liter turbocharged flat 4, which is a pretty small engine, but it makes 276 horsepower, which is bonkers for the mid-90s, especially from a tiny
insane
engine. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to drive. Very rare. I mean, there's only 500 of them. It's not as rare as a Corvette pace car. But anyway, that is available, and it's not on our website, but hit us up privately if you're interested in it. So our flop of the week is... and I'm not trying to make fun of tragedy, but it is kind of a Darwin Award thing. But 2 cars street racing in Pontiac, Michigan, crashed into a stolen Challenger that was doing donuts in the intersection. That's right. So, what is
amazing.
it? Street racing meets street takeovers. Both trends of which need to just stop. But the guy who had stolen Challenger was doing donuts in the middle of the night in this intersection. What? Okay. Anyway, I love inside jokes. Love to be a part of one someday. Mike Scott. Anyway, so the guy was doing donuts in the middle of the intersection at night, and these 2 cars who were street racing didn't see him, come flying into him. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt, gets thrown from the car, gets sent to the hospital. A few other people were injured, but there's no words. Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb, and I don't think anybody really feels badly for anybody here other than like, man, I wish they had parents that taught them not to make stupid decisions.
Yeah, like I don't want to cheer for somebody being hurt, but also they asked for it.
Right. The street racers were 18 and 19, so I feel a little bit badly because I remember when I was that age, I thought street racing was okay and cool, and I'd never be that person that got hurt. So hopefully they'll learn from this. The 24-year-old that was doing donuts in a stolen Challenger, I feel like he already has a rap sheet. So anyway, not good. Big flops there. The prop of the week. Yes, August 12th at the Valley View Recreation Club, the annual nude car show. That's right, this is a thing. The Valley View Recreation Club is a small rustic nudist club. I don't know what a rustic nudist is, but and it is not clothing optional, so it's mandatory.
Oh.
Yeah, right. It's comfortably conceived, odd choice of words, and designed for people who desire an escape from the pressures and pretensions of everyday life. I mean, clothes are not that high pressure.
Like, this isn't Valley View, Ohio, is it?
No, this is up in Wisconsin.
That'd be fantastic.
Ethan wants to go. That's what he's saying right now.
Oh my
Right
gosh.
in your backyard.
But I feel like, it's like a nude beach, right? Which I've never been to. But people that tell me, right, like everybody thinks like, oh, it's a bunch of like beautiful women. You go there and just, But this is like, it's a car show. This isn't going to be a nude car show. It's going to be a dude car show.
There's going to be a bunch of guys like Ethan driving their cross cabs nude into this car show.
Will the Corvette
Tops
Curmudgeon
down.
appear at one of these?
Well, but like, how do you get there? You got to go nude. Like, Aaron doesn't even like wearing shorts in leather seats. What about those old muscle cars with black vinyl? I mean, talk
We're
about
gonna get
like
some fried.
ball burn.
Yeah.
You gotta singe the hairs down there.
Some chestnuts roasting over the black interior.
Not chestnuts. I mean, if you took your 996 there, if they mentioned fried eggs, they wouldn't be talking about your headlights.
Ew.
I mean, the butt sweats, man. Does Nathan's Detailing make a product to like decontaminate the seats from that, or
that'd be great if
This is a market you could enter.
Yeah, I don't know if we've tapped into the
what if you have
swamp-
indigestion?
Interesting
swampy
choice.
nature. Is that too much? There goes the monetization.
Oh man, all the heat. I mean, you burn your ass. Like you're gonna get out and your cheeks are gonna look like pieces of toast. Like the lines on the seat will be grill marks.
Flame broiled.
Hey baby, I'm a butter your bread is gonna be a new pickup line. Like this. I had to be very careful when I was searching for information on this to like not search for information on this because I'm like I don't want to see.
I mean, who cares if you do it on your work computer? You own the business. Who's going to come after you?
I don't want to see these things. I don't want to see the Corvette Curmudgeon without his Corvette hat and shirt and shorts. And
Only his Corvette hat.
only his Corvette
yeah.
hat and New Balance. Yeah. Golly. Oh, it's lowrider show. Anyway, on that note, thank you all for joining us. Please come back next week. Please. We have a guest on who's got a crazy story about a dealership scam that went on for almost a year. And we're going to help you turn that into, learn from him and how not to get scammed by a dealer. Thank you to Ethan and Tyler for propping me up and making the show go smoothly here. Thank you to our sponsors, Boxcast, Nuts for Sticks, Switch Cars, Celebrity Machines, and Stephen Holm Woodworking. And our bumper music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. This episode will be available next Monday in audio format wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. as we look forward to edifying, educating, and entertaining you on the drive of your life.